How's it going, everyone? Let's learn something. So, we're finally to one of my favorite books, Proverbs. Proverbs kind of states its general idea very early on. A fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And that's Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord kind of refers to us viewing God the way He deserves to be viewed. It means us living the righteous life we are called to, but also giving God the ultimate authority and credit. We must also depend on Him with our earnest trust. If you look at Proverbs 9:10, only then, Proverbs teaches, will we discover knowledge and wisdom. So in writing Proverbs, King Solomon kind of wanted us to be able to understand our righteousness and to fulfill our duty to be righteous under God's authority. He also tried to paint God in the light that He is. Now, King Solomon specifically explained the book's purpose in chapter 1, verses 2 through 6, focusing on imparting understanding that would impact every facet of our lives. Much of the book of Proverbs is trying to get us to understand the teachings from those that's come before us, whether parents or elders, and kind of use that to make our own wisdom. But it also teaches us to take our own experiences and learn from those as well, to create that level of wisdom that Solomon is trying to get us to understand. King Solomon really urges the reader to be wise, but that first comes from humbling ourselves and then humbling ourselves before others. Then you will be able to inherit the wisdom to the full capacity, according to what Solomon says here. If instead we decide to talk rashly and harshly towards others without listening attentively like we are called to do, well, he mentions that in there as well, and I'm going to leave it up to you to go read that. And that's in chapter 12 and 13. For our animal spotlight today, we're going to be talking about something that's going to get your skin crawling a little bit. The eastern Diamondback rattlesnake. When they're mostly full grown, they're around 5 to 6 feet. The record length is 8 feet 4 inches. Can be found in pine flatwoods, sandhill scrub, upland pine forest, coastal dunes, and barrier islands. Eastern Diamondback rattlesnakes love gopher holes. During the winter, they typically get in there and hibernate or whatever they do. So I encourage you early spring to avoid gopher holes at all costs. A large female can produce up to 24 babies. The baby rattlesnakes are typically about 10 inches long at birth, and they're capable of swallowing a grown mouse within a few days. The Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake is America's largest venomous snake. If you look closely, you'll see the rattlesnake just rattling in its tail. That is an alarm and just kind of a warning signal to, hey, stay away, I mean business. You also can count the beads on the rattle, and you can tell how old the rattlesnake is by the number of beads it has. The Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake is kind of a big icon for the state of Florida, and you see them a lot around here, more than I wish you did. But they're saying that there is a lot of conservation efforts right now because the population is declining, which, despite my own personal interest, I'm kind of happy about. But, to put my own self-interest away, it's really sad, and I hope that they are able to preserve this beautiful animal as long as it's behind glass and not in my yard. On our financial spotlight today, we're going to be talking about a very basic term. It'll take me 20 seconds to explain, but it's just basically net income. To calculate net income, you want to subtract all your expenses you may incur from your total salary or your net worth. So let's just say if you make $100, but you spent $80 to make that, then your net income right now is only $20. I think it's vitally important people calculate this or know how to, especially if you're starting a business. You got to know your overhead costs and how much you're making per things. And unfortunately, it seems our government isn't doing this very well right now, but I'll save that for a whole 2-hour video later on. On our history spotlight today, we're going to be talking about the Spanish-American War. So the U.S. was interested in imperial expansion. The Spanish-American War officially was fought for Cuban independence, but it allowed the U.S. to gain several new holdings. Like many other countries at the time, Cuba in the late 1800s was eager to be free from the Spanish rule. During this time, Fidel Castro was the one over Cuba, and it said the U.S. newspapers published stories of Spain's mistreatment of Cubans, beginning the practice of what we call today as yellow journalism. Now, yellow journalism is a type of journalism that relies on exaggeration. So pretty much every single news outlet on the face of the earth today practices yellow journalism, seems like. So it seems like America was on the side of Cuba at this time. They were trying to get away from Spain, and so they were painting Spain in a negative light to try and get us and Cuba to go to war with them. Nothing new in terms of misinformation, but hey, what do I know? In January 1898, the U.S. sent a battleship, the USS Maine, to protect American citizens living in Cuba. On February 15, 1898, the Maine was mysteriously sunk in Havana Harbor, killing over 250 sailors. The American newspapers, however, blamed the explosion of the Maine on the Spanish. This made Americans favor war with Spain, but later was proven that it was actually the ammunition harbor that blew up on the boat, the USS Maine. So the U.S. and its newspapers lied to try and get us to go to war with Spain. Just more of a reason for you to understand the truth or seek out the truth. All right, and our inspiring quote is by Kobe Bryant. Everything negative, pressure, challenges is all an opportunity for you to rise. Hope you learned something today. Have a good one.